One of the most picturesque railways in Britain before it closed was the Whitby to Scarborough line. It opened in 1885, but it closed in 1965 as a result of the beaching cuts in the 1960s. However, although the rails have long since been taken up, it has been laid out as a footpath, and, now known as the Cinder Track, it allows us to enjoy wonderful walks and the breathtaking views which made this line so popular. We start our journey at the old site of Whitby Westcliff Station, just a little to the north of Whitby town centre. Post-beaching, the station was converted into housing, and from there we start our journey to Scarborough. The original line was 21 miles long and ran almost parallel to the North Yorkshire coast, providing connections to such villages as Ravenscar and Robin Hood's Bay. Just on the edge of Whitby, the line crosses the River Esk via the Larpool Viaduct. This would have been a major feat of Victorian engineering, which took 2 years to complete. It has 13 arches, and it is estimated that over 5 million bricks were used in its construction, which works out at over 8,000 bricks laid every day. As we leave Whitby behind us, we pass Stainsacre and reach our first stop on the line, Horsker. The station building still survives. Today it is a private house. Adjacent to the station, and lying on tracks of their own, are 2 coaches from which a cycle hire business operates. The original line must have given its passengers wonderful views of the coast and countryside, but it was beset with problems from the start. It took 13 years to build, and at one point the original contractors pulled out because they were unable to raise sufficient capital. However, by 1885, it opened, connecting Scarborough and Whitby to the coastal villages of Ravenscar and Robin Hood's Bay. Robin Hood's Bay was probably first settled by Saxon peasants, attracted by the fertile soil for farming, and of course, its location as a fishing centre. More than that, its isolated location made it a good centre for smuggling, which reached its peak in the 18th century. All the locals were involved, ranging from farmers and fishermen to the gentry and the clergy. Robin Hood's Bay was perfect for hiding places and secret meetings. With the coming of the railway came the building of Victorian houses at the top of the hill close to the railway line. But why was the village called Robin Hood's Bay? Nobody knows. From Robin Hood's Bay, the line climbs towards Ravenscar via Filing Hall, which was little more than a halt. The station house is now a private residence. There are the remains of a platform, which is now barely distinguishable. The gradient going up towards Ravenscar was so steep that the engines often failed to make it to the top, and the wet conditions and the line's proximity to the sea must have made it impossible to keep to the timetable. Ravenscar is the highest point of the line at 630 feet above sea level. The town is now approached by the railway's only tunnel, which is less than 200 yards in length. Ravenscar has a fascinating history. 10 years after the railway arrived, the land around Peak, as it was then known, was sold to a development company. The idea was that a town would be built to rival the resort of Scarborough. Roads were planned and drains were laid. The grates can still be seen today. The developers even changed the name of Peak to Ravenscar, feeling that this might have a greater appeal to potential purchasers. However, there were major problems. First of all, the town was built on a high cliff overlooking the sea. Anyone wanting to visit the beach would have had to climb down 600 feet to the shore. Once there was no wide sandy beach like Scarborough, only a rocky shoreline. After a long climb back to the town, residents would go home to their cliff-top retreats and be at the mercy of the elements. Plots of land were offered at auction, but hardly any were sold. The company was finally put into liquidation in 1913, and from that moment on, Ravenscar became known as the town that never was. The next station on the line is Staintondale. The cinder path runs right past what was the station and is now a well-preserved private residence. Whilst the line was in operation, the station would have served only a few homes. Cloughton Station is now holiday accommodation and has a railway coach which serves today as extra living quarters. As we begin to enter Scarborough, we pass Scalby. The whole station approach has been redeveloped and there is no evidence of the original architecture. The line approaching Scarborough Station is now the site of Sainsbury's supermarket. The Whitby to Scarborough Railway was a financial disaster. The very fact that the original building contractors pulled out of the enterprise must have given indications of the trouble ahead. Steep gradients, railway cuttings filling with snow every winter, badly laid track foundations all contributed to its problems, to say nothing of the difficulties of getting into Scarborough Station during the busy summer months and turning the locomotive round for the return journey. The line closed in 1965, probably to the relief of the operators, for whom the railway never made a profit. However, at least we can enjoy the Cinder Track.